Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This week I decided to have a little chat about what it's like to be left-handed in a right-handed world. Because yes, I am left-handed, my mum was left-handed. I just thought it would be fun to talk about what it's like to be left-handed. I think these days it's not as much of a minority as it used to be. I think that nowadays it's more kind of like a 60-40 situation, like 60% right-handed, 40% left-handed. Obviously the righties are still a majority, but it's one of those things like if I come across somebody else who's left-handed and you see each other and you're like, oh, you're left-handed, I'm left-handed too. And I am actually part of, it's an American left-handed website that kind of talks about how to kind of help your kids when you find out they are left-handed and things like that. It's kind of bizarre the way that people do it. But it has also taught me about things I've never really thought of before. For one thing, you might have noticed there's a piano over here because I learned to play the piano when I was younger and I got up to a grade 5 standard playing the piano. I never actually did the exam, but I did get up to a grade 5 standard for music GCSE and I got a B in my GCSE music, so I was very proud of that. And apparently you can get left-handed pianos and I kind of find it kind of pointless. Because obviously when I was taught to play the piano, I just kind of got used to the fact that the tune was in the right hand and the chords were in the left hand, and it made sense, and that was how I learnt it, and I was fine. But apparently you can get left-handed pianos where the high notes are on the left side and the low notes are on the right side, so that the left hand does all the melody and the right hand does all the chords. Because I guess there is some kind of this idea that the majority of music has the melody and the tune kind of in the higher notes. But when I was actually learning to play the piano, there was a lot of classical pieces where it was switched up and the tune would be on the low notes and the chords would be on the high side. So yeah, the idea of a left-handed piano just seems a bit bizarre to me. I'm going to talk about the actual thing of actually being left-handed and writing with my left hand. Now, I need to grab a pen for this because apparently I don't hold a pen like a normal person. So let's get judged by the internet for this, okay? I'm back. So yeah, this is my left hand. A lot of people who struggle with telling the difference between the left and the right hand, the left hand actually does make an L. So that is one way to remember. That was also how I was taught to play the piano as well. They were just like, if you ever get slightly confused, just look at your hand and the one that makes the L is your left hand. And you think that people wouldn't struggle with this, but they do, even though they know what hand they're right with and stuff like that. Sometimes if you're in the moment, like somebody says turn left and you're just like, left. And they're like, no, left. The other one. So I hold a pen in my left hand, apparently with the wrong fingers. Apparently most people hold the pen like this. So you've got your thumb, your index finger and your middle finger. Apparently those are the fingers you use to write. Not me. That feels really strange to me. So I go down to my ring finger. So the ring finger bounces between my ring finger and middle finger, and then I use the index finger to kind of just grasp it, and then with my thumb underneath. So that's how I write. Yeah, a lot of people look at me when I'm writing and go, what are you doing? But that's what's always felt comfortable to me. I don't know if that's how I was taught to write, but then when I look at other people writing, they're always writing like this. But that feels really strange and it feels weird to be balancing the pen on my middle finger. So yeah, I write balancing on my ring finger. So I've got 3 fingers and a thumb rather than 2 fingers and a thumb when I write. I also, I'll just use my iPad for an example. So for me, the most easiest is to kind of have the paper on a slant and then I write like that. It stops me from kind of going over what I've written, and plus trying to write upwards is just bizarre anyway. And to be honest, looking at the righties in my family, they usually write on a slight slant as well. It's interesting to think about all the things that quite possibly have hindered me when I was growing up in a right-handed world. One thing that I didn't really figure out until I was at university, but growing up I never actually had to use a can opener. In my house we had an electric can opener, which actually might have had to do with the fact that both me and my mum are left-handed and my sister and my dad are right-handed. So I never used a manual tin opener, and it wasn't until university that I finally got the chance to use one. And when I was trying to use it, I could not figure for the life of me how to use it. And I was kept trying to do it and just like, no, I just can't do it. I think it was my friend Jenny, or at least one of my roommates looked at me and said, why are you holding it like that? And I was just like, I've never used one before and I just can't get it to work. It's just like, you're holding it upside down. That was the moment that it clicked, and it was just like, the lefty in me wants it to be the other way round. So yeah, because it was a right-handed tin opener. Who knew? Who knew that something as simple as a tin opener could be right-handed hindrance? Or even left-handed hindrance. But yeah, there's also the whole thing of like left-handed scissors. I was brought up using just right-handed scissors, so I kind of got used to it. But then it was when I was working for an exams board when I was in my late teens, and they gave us scissors because we had to open up a lot of packets because we were dealing with all like the exam papers and stuff. And the scissors they gave me, I don't know what it was, because I mean I've used right-handed scissors before, but I just could not get them to cut. They were just the wrong scissors. And so I actually went to my supervisor and said, I can't use these scissors because I'm left-handed. Is there any possible chance of getting some, are there any left-handed scissors in the building, or do I need to just bring my own? And they actually went, because it was a cross-town kind of office deal, so there was like one office on one side of town and one office on the other, and they actually went to the other offices to track me down some left-handed scissors. And one of my team leaders actually revealed to me afterwards that she was left-handed and they'd never done anything like that for her. And she, obviously, I was a temp, so for a temp they went and sourced left-handed scissors from the office across town, but they didn't do that for my team leader. So yeah, sorry Jess. That they never actually got them for you, but they did get them for me. I think there's a lot of things that people don't realise when it comes to like lefties and things. When I was at school, I learnt to use a computer mouse with my right hand. It was always on the right hand side of the computer. I think there's only one or two of us in my whole year that were actually left-handed. So I just got used to and learned how to use a mouse on my right side. So I always use a right-handed mouse. So the time that I remember, there was it a teaching assistant or something that came in, and she actually moved the mouse to the left-hand side, and I was just like, are you left-handed? And she was like, yeah. It's just like, I always got taught how to use the mouse right-handed. And she was like, yeah, well, I just always prefer to have it on the left and switch it over. It was just like, oh. Because with computer mouses, or mice, you can kind of flip them slightly. So you can, because like, I have a wireless mouse, so I can have it on either side, but I have it on the right side anyway. But you can set it up so that the clicks are the other way round, so what the left click and the right click can be reversed. So if you're using it left-handed, it would still kind of be the same. Does that make sense? Even I'm confused by that sentence. But yeah, you can flip it around so that it can be used left-handed and still work the same way a right-handed mouse would work. I'll leave it like that, and hopefully you understand what I'm talking about. One benefit of learning to use a mouse right-handed, though, is that I can be searching the computer using my right hand, and then I can make notes with my left, so I don't have to stop, because obviously with right-handers, they use the mouse, then they have to stop and write, whereas me, I can be using the mouse and writing at the same time. They do say that left-handers are quite good at multitasking. That might have something to do with it. It's also at like dinner tables, everything is set up kind of the right-handed way, and so I always want to move my drink to the other side. And with cutlery, I mean, they say that has to do with kind of like where you are in the world, how you like hold a fork and hold a knife. Yeah, I cut with my, I want to go get a knife and fork actually and see what I do, because apparently it can be handedness related. So yeah, this is how I do it. I've got a fork in my left, knife in my right, and I cut with my right. Yeah, so yeah, I'm eating with the left. Do righties do it the other way around? So they do it the other way around, so they... Oh, that feels weird. That is so bizarre to be holding it the other way around. But do righties actually do that? Do they eat with the right and cut with the left? But surely you want your dominant hand to be cutting. when I'm slicing things, like when I'm slicing like ham and stuff, I'd rather do it that way. But when I'm cutting like on a plate, when I'm eating, I do it that way. Oh, this is baffling. I've never thought about it like that. And this is why I'm talking to you guys, because obviously there's things that not some of us haven't all thought about. Anyway, I'll put the knife and fork down before it starts speaking somebody out. It's strange to think of some of the ways that lefties and righties do things. What I said about like the left-handed pianos, obviously, they actually say that creatives and people who play music are actually more likely to be left-handed, but there's still very few left-handed instruments. Like for people playing the guitar, apparently you're more likely to get a left-handed guitarist, but they'll be forced to play right-handed because there's so few left-handed guitars. And that's just baffling. It's just like, why can't they just make things for everybody? Why does it have to be honest, I like being the minority. I like being left-handed. Me and my mum say that we're witches, and it freaks my dad out because my dad hates the idea of witches. He read a book about Salem once and it freaked him out, and he never wants to go to Salem at all. But me and my mum are obsessed. I just find it so interesting about the hysteria around it. It's baffling kind of how it got to that extent, but it was hysteria. It was, I think they did kind of, in a way, manage to kind of pinpoint it to some rye that had got off, that had made them like hallucinate and things. There might have been other things as well, and obviously the hysteria of like one person freaking out and then it just keeps going. An example of this could be explained in a time I went to Disney World with my family, and we were watching, was it like a candlelight processional, I think it was. There was this huge choir singing beautifully, and then one of them passed out, and they kind of had to like wander them off the stage. And then another one passed out, and they had to wander off the stage. Then eventually, I think there had been 3 of them that had gone down, and then the guy who'd be coming on to get them off eventually came on in the choir gear to kind of hide amongst the choir people, to collect people as they fell. There was at least 5 of them who collapsed during that. It might have something to do with the heat. It was very, very hot. It was Florida, and they were singing, and so I think the combination of the heat, the singing, the high notes, probably not hydrated enough, kind of added to the fact that, you know, they were starting to feel a bit dizzy. But then it was also the hysteria setting in of thinking, oh, somebody else has passed out. Oh, am I feeling dizzy? We think that might have had something to do with it. Anyway, back to the whole lefty thing, because you can get so much left-handed equipment these days. I've also seen things about in America you can get a scholarship for being left-handed. I'm just like, what? Is this some sort of special skill? I guess it is, kind of. But yeah, when you just think of, when I'm thinking of like kitchen equipment that's left-handed, you can get like left-handed rulers and protractors. I know that it wasn't that long ago when people used to have like the left-handedness beaten out of them. And it's shocking that there are still people in the world who still think that lefties are like possessed by the devil. I mean, me and my mum like to refer to ourselves as witches, but there's so much devil association with the left hand. Like, the devil lives on your left shoulder. When you spill salt, you're supposed to throw salt over your left shoulder into the face of the devil. I think it was, I remember seeing a thing about a comedian talking about it. Was it Jerry Seinfeld who did it? I can't remember. Who was saying, you know, with all these associations with being left and stuff, and like, what, at a party when it's bad, what happens? Everybody leaves. You know, they left hand. I think I quite butchered that joke. Sorry, Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah, but it's just bizarre, the things that, when you think about how much lefties have to do in a right-handed world. I've even seen things that lefties are more prone to getting these things like dementia and Alzheimer's. But yeah, apparently, according to a study from quite a few years ago that I saw in a newspaper, the gene that makes you left-handed makes you more prone to certain brain problems, including dementia and Alzheimer's and other memory issues. Actually, I've got one last one for you, which was when I was at school, because as I said, there was only a couple of us who were left-handed in my year. And we were quite a large year as well. We were split in half, and I'm pretty sure I was the only lefty on my side of the timetable. But I remember it was doing sports, it was doing like games and physical education, and we used to play rounders quite a lot. You don't know what rounders is? Well, literally you just like hit a ball and you run round. And for obviously all the righties would want to hit it with the right hand, and then they'd go straight on to go round the circle. But being left-handed, I wanted to face the other way. So I think there was a point when I did try to do it right-handed and I realised I wasn't getting anywhere because my body didn't want to hit it. It never felt comfortable to bat with my right hand. So there was a point when I started rebelling against my teachers and facing the opposite way so I could use my left hand and then run the opposite way round the rounders circle. And I remember a point where one of my teachers did actually shout, "Debs, you need to run the other way." And I was just like, can't you just count the bases backwards? Because if I'm left-handed, I'm going to go that way. I'm not going to go boom, turn and run. I'm just going to go in the direction that I'm facing. So yeah, there was a bit of rebellion on my part in a couple of rounders lessons. Because my teachers could not figure out the fact that, you know, I would want to run the same way I was facing. So that's my left-handed rant for today. Yay! If you like my videos, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe. You can talk to me in the comments if you agree with any of these or disagree with any of these. Let's spark a conversation, shall we? If you're watching this at night, go to bed, because I know exactly what that's like. I constantly watch YouTube videos in bed, and before I know it, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I've got to get up at 8. So, go to sleep. Shh. Oh, to bleep. Oh, to bleep. I have been Debbie from Debbie Drama. Have a good one.